That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Judas and the Black Messiah, the sophomore film directed by Shaka King, which is premiering at the Sundance Film Festival February 1st and will be released by Warner Brothers shortly thereafter on February 12th, 2021.
So what do you, I didn't get a chance to watch this one.
It was on, you were there, you weren't there.
But since people say I talk too much, you'll get to do all the talking.
Did they say that?
They say I interrupt you a lot. But you're used to it.
Yeah, I hardly noticed. I've been very excited to see this film.
Yes.
And I have been a fan of Shaka King's for quite a while, ever since I saw his debut film, Newlyweds, at the 2013 Sundance Film Festival. He's worked in television, done quite a few, I thought, quite meaningful short films. So I've been hungry for his sophomore film, and I am so pleased to see that it is a studio production that I think is also very important because it's a major studio that's releasing a film about the Black Panthers. And for instance, this is about the murder and assassination of Fred Hampton, who was the head of the Chicago faction of the Illinois Black Panthers. And of course was murdered by the FBI in December 4th, 1969. I think Fred Hampton is a particularly interesting person who's often cast as kind of a footnote when he is mentioned in representations of the Black Panthers, which are very few and far between. You see, there's of course Anya Svarda's 1968 short documentary, Black Panthers. There's a documentary about Fred Hampton called The Murder of Fred Hampton from 1971. But like the Panther mythos, we get sparingly. There's Seaberg, my mind's blanking, but this is the most major deliberation on the Panthers since Mario Van Peebles' 1995 film. Panther, which had a great cast.
And a tremendous soundtrack.
And a great soundtrack, yes. This film, I think, lords over anything that's come before. And again, I just can't say how impressed I is that this is coming out of a studio.
Tell us about the movie.
It starts out in Chicago, 1968. We're first introduced to William O'Neill, played by Lakeith Stanfield. And there are snippets of O'Neill in an interview that bookend the film that kind of ends us on a very heavy note. But O'Neill, of course, was posing as an FBI agent in his own personal racket, stealing cars. And he gets caught, and he's recruited by an FBI agent played by Jesse Plemons. Basically, you'll go to prison, or we're going to use you as a mole to infiltrate the Panthers and get us close to Hampton. Because J. Edgar Hoover was very interested in bringing them down. He's played by Martin Sheen, wearing a lot of makeup, used very sparingly, thankfully. Hampton, was also recently portrayed, but again as a footnote, in The Trial of the Chicago Seven, played by Kelvin Harrison Jr. And if you recall, because you did see that film, we see his assassination, which in that film instigates Bobby Seale being bound and gagged in court. But Bobby Seale had already received a mistrial by the time before Hampton was actually murdered, which I find interesting because it seems like the timeline in Shaka King's film is a little more on point. Anyhow, O'Neill kind of befriends Hampton, played by Daniel Kaluuya, and slowly they take on the figures of the eponymous biblical figures, Judas and the Messiah that he betrays, and of course the rest is history. So it's not really a film you can spoil, you know how it's going to end.
Well, spoil it. I mean, tell the history.
He's assassinated by the FBI with the help of the Cooks County Sheriff Department and the Chicago Police Department. But anyhow, beyond all that, it really is... It really does focus on these two figures, and I think that Stanfield and Kaluuya, who both were in Get Out, I think give phenomenal performances. Lil Rel from Get Out has a pretty good, decent little cameo scene that I thought was creepy as well. I think it looks fantastic. It was led by Sean Bobbitt, who Steve McQueen's favorite cinematographer. The music was very string heavy and anxiety inducing. I really liked it by Mark Isham and Craig Harris. The story was by Keith and Kenneth Lucas, but King and Will Berson have credit for the screenplay. I think that every exchange is nuanced and efficient. That there are a lot of points that they're getting across here from, because I think it's hard to condense Hampton as a political figure, an activist, and a human being, all in a 2-hour time frame, and I think they do a fantastic job of that. Because they're also packing in here his relationship with a woman played by Dominique Fishback, Deborah Johnson, who is pregnant with his child when he's dead. And he was only 21 when he was murdered, which is...
He was only 21?
Yeah, he was so young, and very far ahead in his years. And of course we learn why the FBI kind of wanted to go this track. We get snippets of J. Edgar Hoover being upset about how Huey P. Newton and Eldridge Cleaver were still able to wield influence and power from prison, so they really did want to take him out. Do you recall anything from it?
No. I wasn't watching it.
I also love that they don't make O'Neill complete. He's not a villain. It's the situation he's in is very complex. He's a victim of the white power hierarchy. Like my notes about him, like he's so vulnerable. And he gives one final interview in the late 80s, and after that kills himself, which I think is kind of devastating, because he's never really had, how history views him will be disparagingly. I don't know. Kaluuya, I think, is really fantastic, very vehement, especially, and he's changed. He's got the physicality, I think, of Fred Hampton down. It didn't disappoint. Oh, and also about the look of it too. There's so many great shots where, especially where Lakeith Stanfield is being kind of interrogated by the other Panthers in the car, and outside looks kind of like a red hellscape. This was shot in Cleveland, so I think they do a fantastic job of making it look like late 60s Chicago. I don't know.
What would you give this film?
I would give Judas and the Black Messiah 4 out of 5 stars.
Oh wow, nice. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Bye.
Bye.